I feel sorry for the younger Tom Holland fans who, let's face it, some of them are gonna sneakily try and watch this film, especially because if you look at some of the publicity for Cherry, it's definitely advertising it like it's some kind of romance. So they're gonna watch this film going into that with possibly those preconceptions and then have to sit through 2.5 hours of Tom shooting up heroin and whacking off in a loo.
I'm 23 years old, and sometimes I wonder if life was wasted on me.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about a brand new film from the Russo brothers. They're just coming off of probably one of the biggest films of all time with Avengers Endgame. They've got Tom Holland in tow for a completely different type of movie, Cherry. Tom Holland stars as a young man living his life but struggling to find a real purpose of what he wants to do. He meets Ciara Bravo's character, striking up a romance. However, though, he soon signs up for the army, shipping off to Iraq and returning home with severe PTSD, so much so that he turns to hardcore drug use and eventually robbing banks. I don't think that anyone is denying that to go from directing one of the biggest blockbusters of all time and what was up until quite recently the highest grossing movie of all time in Avengers Endgame to this much smaller character focused drama with no superpowers in sight, well, yeah, that was going to be a different choice to make. But different doesn't automatically equal good. And whilst Cherry is very different, it's not good. Now, I do think that Tom Holland gives a tremendous performance, and he very comfortably carries the nearly 2.5 hour runtime on his shoulders. It's an intensity to Holland that we haven't seen before, and it is brilliantly showcased in the film. I also didn't think that Ciara Bravo was terrible either. She's not as captivating as Holland, but the two do share an endearing chemistry that makes the kind of opening chapter of the film somewhat sweet to watch. But the movie itself is an absolute mess. Both the story and the direction for Cherry fall flat. I thought that this was a really bland and disappointing script with seriously poor directing choices from the Russo brothers. Now, we'll start with the script. The story of a young person who's optimistic, full of hope. They end up going to war, they get hooked on drugs, they rob banks. Those are all stories that, you know what, admittedly we have not seen convene together all as one, but separately we have all seen those stories before. And in these other films, they're all executed to a far greater degree. There is absolutely nothing original on show here. It follows a very generic formula. It is so predictable, and good God almighty, there is no way that this film needed to be 2.5 hours long. This movie drags. At some points it feels like it's never going to end. It just goes off on these tangents that add nothing. As for the Russo brothers, look, I love their work, just not in this film. Many of the choices they make in this film are largely unconventional in what I can only presume was for them to have the hope of having this edge that can make them stand out from other similar films. There are a lot of cutaways that have kind of been used in past Russo brothers works like Arrested Development and Community, although there's no gag this time around. They play with that whole unreliable narrator aspect, although it just feels like it's exposition being spoon-fed to you. There are some off-kilter music decisions, but practically all of these stylistic decisions that the Russo brothers have made have no purpose in adding to the story or the tone of the film. I can somewhat see how the Russo brothers wanted to follow in similar footsteps to directors like Danny Boyle or Darren Aronofsky, and the way that they depicted addiction in their films like Trainspotting and Requiem for a Dream. Those films have a nuance to them. Here it's completely style over substance, as everything that they're doing is so ham-fisted, heavy-handed, in-your-face, or needlessly gratuitous that you're left scratching your head wondering if that was really the best decision that they could have made. For example, Tom Holland's character in one scene in the film is getting a medical, and we are very fortunately treated to a POV shot from inside his rectum as a doctor is examining him. Why? I wish I could say more positive things about Cherry, but this truly was a terrible movie in almost all aspects. Tom Holland is literally the only saving grace, because he really does just go for it, but the script and direction completely let him down in this poorly paced, bizarrely directed heap. So I'm going to give Cherry a 2.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on Cherry. Let me know, have you had a chance to see it yet? What do you think? It's been polarizing for some, although I am definitely on the side of the fence that I really did not like it. And my question to you, I would like to know, which actor do you think gives a really great performance in an otherwise terrible movie? And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.